Glass Cannon Unplugged has a title that I just came across, and I thought it was so interesting, I would bring it to your attention. Frostpunk, the board game. This is for 1 to 4 players, ages 16 and up, and should take you about 120 to 150 minutes to complete. In Frostpunk, the board game, up to 4 players will take on the role of leaders of a small colony of survivors in a post-apocalyptic world that has been hit by a severe ice age. Their duty is to effectively manage both its infrastructure and its citizens. The core gameplay will be brutal, challenging, and complex, yet the rules easy to learn. The citizens won't be just speechless pieces on the board. Society members will issue demands and react accordingly to the current mood. So every decision and every action will bear consequences. Other players will decide the fate of their people. Will you treat them like another resource? Are you going to be an inspiring builder, a fearless explorer, or a bright scientist? Is your rule going to be a sting of tyranny or an era of law and equality? The game is based on a best-selling video game by 11-Bit Studios, the creators of This War of Mine. The original digital edition of Frostpunk is a highly successful strategic survival city builder, a BAFTA nominee that originally launched in 2018. There's a lot of information from the publisher there, and it all sounds magnificently awesome if you ask me. So yeah, I had no idea of a video game about this, and I did a little bit of a look into it, and I gotta say the video game looks pretty awesome and intense. I think intense is even a better word than awesome. That's too general, but it is intense indeed. And just like the video game, the board game, from everything I've read, seen, and been told about, is also as brutal a game of survival and growth as the video game is. In fact, many of the reviewers I've already seen talk about it being harder, tougher than the original video game. As said by the publisher, the game is not overly complicated with rules. That the actual complexity of this game, from what I can tell, comes more from the strategy in this game, as the rules are not overly complicated. It's not a hard game to understand, but it is a very difficult game to master. Wow, the components of this game blew my eyes out of their socket. It looked so wonderfully, post-apocalyptically, winter, dead of winter, not the board game, just in the middle of the dead of winter kind of style. And I caught my attention. Also, now that I think about it, there's not enough board games that take place in the deadliest, coldest winter times. And I think that that's something that could be approached more often, I think. Let's look into more games with the environment, the weather, being such a factor, such an antagonist. Another thing that I've seen a lot of reviewers talk about with this game is that although it is a multiplayer cooperative game, it really does feel like a solo game. The video game was a solo game, and this has that main feel at its heart, that it still does play and feel, according to everyone I've seen and read, that it is at its heart a solo game. So that's really good. Nowadays, with pandemics, try pandemics, and anything else that's going to hit us, we do need more games that have an option to play solo. Yeah, the intensity that I've been reading about this game. Some people are saying that it really only has a 20-25% win rate because it is such a tough city building and survival game set in this post-apocalyptic winter. Everything is working against you. But still, isn't that the kind of tension you want in a game? The one resource that I've seen several people talk about, right up front, let me just say this, is wood. Lumber seems to be the most well-used, needed resource in the game. I just wanted to bring that up in case you do get this and you start playing it. Keep that in mind. You want as much lumber as you can get. And the last thing I want to point out about this game is that, again, from everything that I've read, other reviewers have posted about this game, things that I've seen about this game, is it really does feel like a sandbox game to me. And I love sandbox games. I think no matter what the theme of the genre is, if it is made into a sandbox style game, it is automatically at the top of my lists. I love that in a game. And having so many different options of of scoring win-win scenarios, points, building things up. There's so many different ways in sandbox games to do this. And in this, you got your resources, you got your buildings that you're putting up, your city that you're growing, exploring, science stuff that you're exploring and making and building. All these things add up for a sandbox experience. And I definitely want more sandbox game. I want every board game that could potentially be sandbox or sandboxy. I want it to be that way. So that's my thoughts for what I've seen, for what I've read. But please never be influenced by someone when you could be informed by yourself. So go get more information. Find out about Glass Cannon Unplugged's Frostpunk, the board game.